Hey guys, and welcome to Physics 101. Today's lesson is about displacement and velocity. The equations we're going to be using for this lesson are 2 for displacement and 2 for the final velocity. And only from these 4 we can back solve and find out each single term of the equation or of the problem. Now what each single term here or symbol represents is x, displacement, t, time, vi, which is a subscript and not an actual letter, initial velocity, vf, final velocity, again a subscript, and a for acceleration, which equals a delta velocity over delta time, where delta means the difference between the final quantity and the initial quantity. Now, what you need to understand about displacement is it doesn't necessarily equal to the distance traveled. For example, imagine a person standing here. This is his initial position. He moves 5 meters in that direction, and if his final position is here, then the distance traveled would equal 5 meters, and his displacement from the initial position would also equal 5 meters. But now imagine he walked this distance, and then again he moved 4 meters in that direction. Now the distance traveled equals 5 meters plus 4 meters, which equals 9, but the displacement is this. Now using the Pythagorean theorem, you can find the distance, which is about 6.4 meters. The point of this is that displacement does not always equal the distance traveled, rather it is the shortest distance from the initial position to the final position. Now going over some exercises. Question 1. Initial velocity equals 0 meters per second. Final velocity equals 6.6 meters per second. And time equals 6.5 seconds. What is the displacement of this object? Now looking back at the equations, we have to find an adequate equation for the displacement. And you want to find the easiest one to use, depending on the given terms, which is in this case this one, because we already have final velocity, initial velocity, and time. So all we need to do is substitute. This is how the equation should look like, and 21.45 meters is what you should get for the displacement. Initial velocity equals 6.5 meters per second. Acceleration equals 0.92 meters per second squared. Time equals 3.6 seconds. A. What is the final velocity of the object? B. What is the displacement of the object? Now starting with A, what is the final velocity? Notice we have initial velocity, acceleration, and time. And looking back at the 4 equations, we see that the third one fits in perfectly. Initial velocity, acceleration, and time. So what we do is just plug it in. Should look like this. And the answer should be equal to 9.81 meters per second. What is the displacement of the object? B. Now notice we have all the terms now. Initial velocity, final velocity, acceleration, and time. So if we look at the equations, we can use both the first and the second. We're going to use the second one this time. It should look like this. Notice that the squared only applies to the time and not to time and acceleration. And the answer should be equal to 29.4 meters. You understood the explanations and the different uses of the equations. Thank you for watching, and always come back to some more physics.